Well, hello to all of you shooters and reloaders out there, and a special hello to all of you Three Circles passengers and members out there. It's Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the Hot Lead Zone Express. And today we're going to go ahead and use the 44 caliber cartridges. That's 44 Magnum, that came from the 44 Special, that came from the 44 Russian, that actually kind of kicked off from the 44 American. All of those, well, we're going to use those cartridges to look at the issue again about we get better powder burn with a smaller case capacity for powder charges that fit in that smaller case capacity for the use that we want. Get better burn with a smaller case capacity instead of having wasted space with a smaller powder charge like the 44 Magnum. Well, the problem with that is when we shorten the case, we get more bullet jump. And a lot of revolver shooters think that the bullet jump's a problem because the bullet comes out of the case and it kind of rattles around and you lose accuracy. Even in the shorter 44 Russian case, when the bullet comes out of the case, it's still in the case by the time the front end of the bullet engages the cylinder throat. So there's really no rattling around. We don't really have any loss of accuracy, although a lot of shooters still believe that you have that problem. Now, it's quite possible that when you shoot the shorter round, you get less accuracy for other reasons, and so the blame has been put on that bullet jump for many years. And I was hoping to dispel that, and we found that certainly the data out there does dispel it, but let's give you more data. More data on how much benefit you gain by using a more efficient powder space, and do we lose accuracy? And if we get enough data out there where everybody has the data together, perhaps we can come to a conclusion and put this issue to rest once and for all. Now, we could actually use a 45 Colt because you got the 45 Schofield shorter case, and then you got the 45 Cowboy Special shorter case. You could actually use a 41 caliber because 41 Magnum, there's a 41 Special that's shorter. And then I created the 41 HLZ that's shorter than the Special, kind of like a Russian length 41 case. So you have that you could use. So if any of you out there want to do that kind of testing and add to the data, by all means. But we're going to go with the 44 Magnum that spawned off from the 44 Special that was developed in 1907. That was actually spawned from the 44 Russian that came from 1872. Let's go ahead and load this up. So what we're going to do is use our Ruger Super Red Hawk, very strong revolver, so that the loads we're talking about here when it comes to the Russian and the Special cannot be shot in older, weaker guns. Let's repeat that. If you have an old gun from back around the turn of the century in 44 Special or even before 1900 in 44 Russian, you don't want to load 7.5 grains of unique. 44 Magnum, of course, no problem. In a modern gun like a Ruger Super Red Hawk, not a problem. Anyway, we're going to use the Skeeter load. Now, Skeeter Skelton really liked this load. And what it was 44 Special, 7.5 grains of unique powder, and any 240 to 250 grain cast bullet. We're going to use the 245 grain Lyman 429421, which is the Keith design bullet, powder coated with Ford Light Blue Eastwood powder. We're going to go with the same charge, 7.5 grains of unique in all three of these cases with the same bullet. So we're going to see how the bullet jump versus case capacity efficiency works out. More data. Now, of course, we cannot do any reloading videos on YouTube because they don't like it. And if they catch wind that there's a reloading video, they'll just go ahead and strike it and give a channel a strike and all that kind of thing. Well, we don't want to invite that kind of thing, so I'm not going to go ahead and discuss the reloading. But suffice to say, look at this nice die here. And you see the little pin there? Well, that's of course used in the first step. But we went ahead and ran all the cases through this, and now we're ready to go ahead and prime the cases to put a little ignition device on the back end of the cartridge case. So I'm about to put these igniters made by Tula into the cartridge cases, and if you don't know what I'm doing, then I can't tell you, because then I'm kind of going into making ammunition, and we don't want to do that. I've already got a lot of my videos been declared unsuitable for most advertisers. So what that does is it'll never show up, a lot of my videos will never show up on search engines, and so they're just going to die on the vine. Other videos they put on search engines and get you to watch them because they're right in line with what you're looking at. But I'm not going to get my videos put on there because they've been deemed unsuitable. Well, I don't want this one to be unsuitable, so I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. Suffice to say, one of those little igniters goes there, and then we put a case in there, and then we go ahead and do this, and that happens. So there we go. We've done something. Now, even though I can't tell you what I'm doing, and it seems that YouTube doesn't want you to know, well, you have things called reloading manuals that will tell you exactly what I'm doing. So what you might want to do is go to the chapter about what I'm doing, and you'll see that as you read the explanation, it'll all make sense. But we want you to be safe, because I can't tell you what I'm doing. We want you to be safe though, so be sure to consult a good manual, because what I'm doing is not a secret. And for YouTube to try and make it a secret is not going to happen, of course, so it doesn't make any sense to me. By the way, the empty cartridge case that I'm using here is actually made by the Federal Cartridge Company. As you can see right there, it says FC. And that doesn't mean fortune cookie. It means Federal Cartridge. I mean, it's funny. What we're doing here, using all this equipment and all these components, is not illegal. It's within the law completely. What we're doing is completely legal. So if it's completely legal, why can't we do it? Or why would someone want us not to do it? Plus, why would anybody want to stop the flow of information? I mean, isn't that something about inhibiting the right of free speech? Well, we won't get into all that because it just doesn't set well, and why get all upset? Well, next we need to make this thing and this thing fit together. Right now, it doesn't fit together. So in order to make it so that it'll fit together, we gotta use this. There's no pin in this one. We just slip it in like this, and we run these through, and when we get done, this will fit in there. So let's go ahead and do all that. And look at this, what do you know? You turn this thing down until this happens, and look at that, now it fits in there. Now we can go ahead and press that in when the time comes. Look at that. Impressive. So look at this. If you didn't know how to do this already, or if you didn't have a reloading manual from companies like Lee or Hornady or RCBS or Sierra, if you didn't have one of their manuals and you didn't have a friend who could really explain to you how this is done, well, you sure aren't going to learn anything about how to reload from this video. So I would think this video would be okay. Maybe it won't even be declared unsuitable. Well, for sure, if you don't know how to reload, don't just do all these things that you see on the screen, because you're going to get in trouble. You're going to make unsafe situations for yourself. Tell you one thing, these 44 Russian brass casings and the loaded rounds are going to be from this, they're really cute. Definitely no problem with collusion with this one, right? No collusion. Definitely wasn't bad. It was a business deal. A beneficial business deal. It added to our economy way back in 1872. And then when it comes to the 44 Magnum, reloads are not used in crime. They just aren't, because it takes time and tediousness. Criminals are not into time and tediousness. They'd much rather just go buy some ammo from the trunk of some car somewhere. Illegal, of course. But reloaders are within the law. Of course, no one's above the law unless you're going across the border and doing it illegally, of course, then it's okay, right? So you'll excuse me if I'm a little baffled as to why our activity here, which is completely lawful, is being impressed against. Nothing that we do is used in crime. So you'll excuse me if I'm a little bit baffled by the way things are. Plus, reloaders are always about safety and responsibility, not just to ourselves, but also to our fellow men. Because safety is something that we have to always respect. And so when it comes to this miracle stuff called smokeless powder, we do want to have an accurate amount put into every one of our cases. In this video, we're going to use 7.5 grains. Now, these smokeless powders are measured out in grains. A grain is 1/7,000th of a pound. And so we use a very accurate instrument to measure out 7.5 grains of this to put into each one of these. Now, I kind of like red for color. It's the color of the Republic. So you're going to see a lot of red. Also a rather miraculous item. It does the work of measuring out the exact amount for us, 7.5 grains. And when it gets it done, it gives us a little beep, and that tells us we're ready to go ahead and put that amount into each one of the cases back there. So you see, it just creeps right up to 7.5. Just creeps right up to it. So can something be creepy and yet still be very cool? And the answer is yes, indeed. This is it. So now we don't want to spill the smokeless powder in there, but we go ahead and put the bullet in there. But the bullet has to be put into the case so that it stays together and makes this round something that we can handle. And it'll stay together until we're ready to use it. Well, that's what this one's for. And what this one does is it puts that into the case the right amount. We have to adjust it. And then it causes a little crimp at the end, so it bends it into the bullet there, and it holds it together so that it stays together. And that's what we got there. We have here a completed round that we can use for sporting purposes. Sporting purposes means constructive, lawful uses. So once again, what we're doing is lawful, and what we're going to do with this is lawful. This is lawful. Well, there they are, all loaded up and ready to go to the range and test to see what kind of benefit we get from the smaller case capacity with the smaller powder charge, and whether there's any problem with bullet jump affecting accuracy. Bye for now and see you at the range.